Shalom. This is the Hidden Chosen, and I am Hadassah Batsaiwan, and I'm back with a kind of a study. I do these in between series, and I'm doing this only because I'm seeing some developments in the headlines, and I just want to make you aware of what this is leading us to. Okay? So, the question I have here, are you seeing this? Things are happening right before our very eyes. Are we seeing what Allah Hayam Yahweh wants us to see? Or are we so busy with life that these things are just passing right before us and we just can't see them? And even if you're seeing them, do you understand what you're seeing? Okay? So I'm going to show you what I'm seeing, and hopefully we can compare notes together. Maybe you have more information. Please feel free to share with me. All right? I don't know about you, but I've been keeping watch this last little while concerning some events that are due to occur in the next little while. Now, at the time of writing this, there was a certain event about to take place. It's already taken place. We're going to see that in a little while. But there's another event coming up. The COP29 is coming up. All right? Pay attention to these summits. All right? Pay close attention to them. You don't have to get into detail. Read the headlines. That's what I do. I don't need to know the details of their evil deeds. I just need to know what they're up to. All right. We were warned by Hamashiach to watch and pray, and this is what we need to do, especially today when our regathering is so near. And this is the reason why we have to watch and pray, because when we watch and pray, then Ruach HaKadosh can show us exactly what the time is, right? If you don't watch and pray, you don't know what time it is. You're completely oblivious. That's why when we look at Mark chapter 13, verse 33, Hamashiach says, take heed, watch and pray. Because without watching and praying, you will not know what time it is. For you know not when the time is. When you watch and pray, and he starts to reveal what is going on in the world around you and compare it to the prophecies, then you know what time it is. You will know. So only when you don't watch and you don't pray, then you will not know. Now, because the ending of the world as we know it is very near, evil agendas are ever increasing. However, what is withholding them is the southern kingdom's presence still on this earth. This is in no way preventing the wicked ones to develop their plans. They're developing their plans, and we're seeing the developments. That's why I want you to see. While waiting for their chance to spring their evil traps on the inhabitants on this earth. They can't do anything unless Allah Hayam allows them to do it. If He says no, then they can't do it. But that is not going to stop them for preparing for when they're able to carry out their evil agendas. I am seeing such plans taking place, which is leading me to know without a shadow of doubt that our regathering is right around the corner, so to speak. So let us consider what is occurring to lead me to both conclusions: the great increase of evil and the regathering of the southern kingdom. I have been observing the news headlines, reading very little but paying close attention to the developments in the alphabet agencies, especially the UN. Yes, pay close attention to that. That entity is Beast Empire number 6. It acts like an empire without really defining itself as an empire, but you're seeing more and more of the characteristics of an empire in this entity now. Remember, this empire, beast number 6, the UN, is going to morph into number 7. The beast empire number 7, the technology based empire. I did that in a study called The Beast Empires. I will link it. It's gone out of my head right now. So let us continue on. Not only them, but the hints about another pandemic to come, with some practice runs in some countries, which we will look at again later on. I'm hearing, and this was like, you're not hearing, I'm not hearing right now, because what's today's date? Today is September. I'm checking the date, sorry. September 27th. So when you're hearing this message, it's going to be in a few days or so. All right? But a few weeks ago, I heard certain news items concerning the C1, NINE, the VOC, as people have been calling it, has re-emerged, and this particular one is deadly. And even in some countries, they're not mandating anything, but they're telling people to wear the facial coverings again. And people are complying because people are sheep. Well, they're not sheep, they're goats. You gotta be a goat, you can't be a sheep. Right? And then you're hearing an outbreak in the African countries, the monkey thing. All right, you know what I'm talking about. And then you hear about this Brazilian thing that has been happening. And then all these different other unwellness coming on the scene. I have to be very careful with my words because of the algorithm on this platform. All right. They're throwing things out for two reasons: to create once again mass hysteria, because the first time it worked, and two, they're trying to see which will work. Which one will work? If we bombard the world enough with all these fear tactics, eventually people are going to crumble and be putty in our hands. Eventually. Because it's an attack on our psyche. It's a psychological warfare that they're doing right now. That's why you have wars, rumors of wars, and all these different threats on every level right now, where people are feeling unstable, insecure. And this is exactly what they want us to feel: insecure, unstable. All right. So that's why they're throwing things out left, right, and center, because the plans that they had in place in 2020, they cannot roll out in the exact way as they did then. Allah Hayam Yahweh will not permit this. They may be able to do it in one country, maybe even two, but they can't do it on a worldwide basis like they did before because the Southern Kingdom is still here. When we're gone, then it's going to roll out again. All right. But there have been practice runs. And I've been hearing they're hiring dancers again. You remember what happened in the hospitals? They had their little dances. So they're hiring choreographers and dancers for the hospital scenes once again. All kinds of things that they're rolling out right now. They're plotting. All right. Then there's much talk about the increasing changes in the weather, which is becoming a religion. Everything now is pointing to, oh, well, because there are changes in the weather because of us, the eaters. We eat real meat, we eat real food, and we are the cause of the changes in our weather. They don't point to the HAARP that is manipulating the weather all over the world, creating droughts in some places and floods in another. They're not talking about that. They're not talking about the industries that are polluting, that have been polluting for centuries. Because the owners of those industries are the ones that rule the world. They're not going to talk about the smog that they're creating. No, 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 no. It's what we are eating. All right. And so this is another level, another layer in which they're going to use this so-called changes in our atmosphere as a reason to control people, control what you eat, control where you go, control where you live, and what you can have or not have. They're setting it up. And you see all these super storms and stuff that you see happening all around the world now? Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, all done by their technology. Them. Because in order to convince us that something is wrong, they have to show it to us. They have to prove it to us so that we will come crying to them, oh, we're tired of these earthquakes. We're tired of all these different drastic changes in our atmosphere. Can you help us? Help us to fix this. I don't want to go through another flood, another drought. They want us to come crying to them to help fix this problem so that they can give us their solution, which means we now become prisoners in their fancy prisons that they're building for us. And we will gladly do it too because it is helping the cause. We're helping them to fix the problems in this world. After all, we're the problem. That's what they're brainwashing us to feel and to believe, that we are the problem. We're the ones that are creating chaos in this world. Not them. We are. There's no doubt that the wicked elite of this world is setting the stage for control of any kind That's why they're throwing out all these different agendas to see how people are going to respond to each and every one of them. You think that they're not paying attention to us? You think that they're not watching our reaction when they throw a rumor of war, a threat of nuclear war, a threat of this, a threat of that? You don't think that they're watching to see our reaction? They're watching us. They've been watching us for generations. That's how they know how to play us. And they've been playing us for generations. And we fall prey because we believe them. We believe that we elect them in power over us because they have our best interests at heart, when in fact they don't care anything about us. They just care about their agendas and getting their agendas played out. All right. And at this time, talking about the control that is coming, it will be the last. Their last time to control the world. Because Allah Hayam will be stepping in and taking control himself over them by bringing judgments against them. But you got to get the southern kingdom out first. That's why the world cannot come to an end until the southern kingdom comes out of this earth, comes out of this world. We have to be taken out of this world. Then he has to sift the northern kingdom. Because they have not been going through anything for all these generations that we have been through. He got to sift the rebels out of that now. But right now, he's sifting the rebels out of us. He's only regathering the righteous. All else will be purged and cast into the lake of fire at the end of the age. All right. Needless to say, it will be the most horrendous time on this earth when this occurs, because all of their plans, all of their evil plans and agendas will all be released at the same time, because it will be the Beast Empire number 7, the NWO. That's why it's going to call itself. They've been calling it that for many years now. All right. In the coming future, the world will already be reeling from the 3 days of darkness. Don't forget, that's coming first. And the regathering of the southern kingdom. Because our regathering is going to be so spectacular. And at the same time, because the shock of it all, for a lot of these so-called Christians, these people that are fixing everything that they believe in on the fakers in our land. When they see the true Messiah, Hamashiach, Yahawasha'o, when they see his face, they're going to be reeling. A lot of them are going to drop dead. Literally. From the sheer shock of it all. Because they will not be expecting a Negro. I warned you about this. A lot of them looking for Jesus that look like them, Caucasian. But he's coming, the Messiah, Hamashiach, is coming as a Negro. He is a Negro. He was always a Negro. All the forefathers in the Bible, they were all Negroes. Not one of them white. Not one of them Caucasian. Or any other race. They're Negro. All right? So this is why the world is going to be reeling. This is why the Beast Empire will have to have all its ducks in a row. Because they got to come with some answers. All right, let's read on. There will be a lot of deaths on the earth because of the 3 days of darkness. Don't forget that people will be paralyzed. The darkness is going to be so thick, it's going to be felt. People will not be able to move around. They can't see. Now, even if you put a finger and try to find your nose, the nose on your face with your finger, you're not going to find it. You're going to speak, and it's almost like you're speaking in a vacuum because the darkness is going to consume your voice. It's going to consume everything. So you're literally going to be paralyzed by this darkness. And this darkness is not coming from Satan or any of the Satans or the fallen angels. It's coming from Elohim Yahweh. Him. So there'll be a lot of deaths on the earth because of the 3 days of darkness and seeing Hamashiach in the clouds. The chariots and the Negroes being taken up in them. So yes, there will be a lot of sorrows, chaos, confusion, anxiety, fear, and many other negative emotions amongst the inhabitants on the earth. And this will be a worldwide chaos as no nation or inhabitant on the earth will escape these events. Not even the dead will be able to escape what's coming. When he comes through that portal, not even the dead could escape not seeing him. All right. This then will set the stage for the worldwide dominance, what they call the NWO. I'm not going to call its name again. All right. Before we look at some headlines and put the pieces together, at least some pieces, let us look at some scriptures to be reminded that these things have to happen so that the end must come. The end must come. We want it. We want evil to come to an end. So we have to go through these things. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. That's exactly where we are living right now. The world we're living in right now, we have wars, scrimmages, whatever you want to call them, and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. No. Because there are events that need to unfold. The judgments of Elohim Yahweh, they have to be released. Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Those are the birth pangs. Those are the first 7 seals. That's what the birth pangs are. Let's drop down to verse 42. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Adawan will come. But know this, if the good man of the house had known in what watch, meaning span of time, the thief would come, he would have watched, he would have been cautious, he would have taken heed, and would not have suffered his house to be broken in. Therefore, be you also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man comes. Now, you don't know what hour Adawan Hamashiach will be coming, because he is coming right after the 3 days of darkness are completed. So we can't know the exact hour, but we do have an idea of the timeline. All right? And the season, we know he's coming in the Passover, or just before the Passover, actually. Just before the Passover. But around the Passover season, that's when he's coming. So if 2025 rolls around and Passover passes and he doesn't come, then we have to look for 2026. We're praying that he comes in 2025. All right? We are being cautioned, and not frivolously either. But this caution will mean the difference between life and death, eternal life or eternal damnation. Therefore, it is our responsibility to take heed and act accordingly. Luke chapter 21, verse 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that they come upon you unawares. Because it starts with the darkness. And once you're trapped in the darkness, then it is finished. Everything is finished for you. But if there's light in your homes, then it means that you will be regathered. So in order for you to have light in your home, it's not from a candle, it's the glory of Allah Hayat that starts first within you. And in order for the glory to be within you, you got to be walking in righteousness and in holiness. You can't be so caring about everything in this world and working from 9 to 5 that you have no time for Allah Hayam Yahweh. You have no time to pray. You don't have no time to worship Him. And you're living large. You're enjoying your life in this world. Yes, you may be making a good salary and all that. You might say, well, this is a blessing from Allah, yeah, so therefore I need to enjoy it. Well, enjoy it now because you're not going to enjoy life later on in the lake of fire. Because if you spend all your time with the cares of this world and overcharged with surfeiting, drunkenness, you don't have time for Allah Hayam Yahweh. Well, guess what? You're going to be in the darkness when it comes. All right. He said, don't let that day come upon you unawares. Verse 35, for as a snare, as a trap, shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. You see, the 3 days of darkness is the judgment for the southern kingdom, because this is the dividing line for us. Either we will receive our reward of eternal life, or we receive the reward of damnation. And all the other inhabitants on the earth, they will fall prey to death, some of them. So there's a snare. Verse 36, watch you therefore and pray always that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. The Son of Man is Hamashiach. You want to be able to stand before Him? You want to be regathered by Him? You better get your house in order, because He's coming. What is occurring on the earth through the social media and the media is the programming of people to follow after their living idols. Talking about all these entertainers, like the singers, the basketball players, the sports people, whoever they are, and the actors. And notice that they use every single one of them in 2020 to help carry out their agendas and to acquire inanimate idols like silver, gold, or anything that is praised as wealth. That's why a lot of people are going after wealth, because they want to be rich like their idols. The idols come before them and say, hey, I got bling, 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 and you can get it too if you do this thing. Do what I do. All right. There are many other distractions as well, designed to keep people away from seeing what is really going on, because they are more consumed with their lives and making it in this world. You care about this world? You want to make a life in this world? You want to build your empire in this world? Well, good luck, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. This world, there's no place in this world for us until Hamashiach brings us back. And for all those people out there that are trying to build their own little kingdom, you're going down with the ship. That kingdom is going to be destroyed. And you're going to be destroyed right along with it. All right, so let's start looking at some of these headlines. Some crazy things you're going to see. Now, this is called the Summit of the Future. I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to read some things. And this is our common agenda. This is given to us by the United Nations. Pact for the Future. So they made a pact together. Major global shocks in recent years included the Dvock 19 demic. You're going to have to read this for yourself. The Korean War and the triple planetary crisis, among others, have challenged our international institutions. Who created all of them? They created this. Unity around our shared principles and common goals is crucial and urgent. And now they're talking about this summit of the future to be held in September 2024 is a once in a generation opportunity to enhance cooperation on critical challenges and address gaps in what? Global governance. Pay careful attention to those two words. Global governance. You're talking about the beast empire that's coming. It will reaffirm existing commitments, including to the Sustainable Development Goals and the United Nations Charter, and move towards a reinvigorated multilateral system. Talking about the beast empire with the seven heads and the 10 horns. That's the multilateral system there. Better positioned to impact people's lives positively. Oh, really? Think the opposite. Anything that they tell you, think the opposite. Ain't gonna be positive, it's gonna be negative. They want to reaffirm existing commitments. In other words, they're merging. They're merging with each other. Okay. This event took place recently on September 22nd to the 23rd of 2024. Hosted by who? No, none other than the United Nations. Now, what is triple planetary crisis? Let me explain that to you. Change in the weather, air pollution, and biodiversity loss, meaning the decline or disappearance of biological diversity, which includes animals, plants, and ecosystems due to the change in the weather. And who's done all this? Them. They're the ones that killing off our ecosystems with their pollutions and everything else that they're releasing in the atmosphere and in the waters and whatnot. Them. They want to blame it on us. Notice the words global governance. Keep your eyes on these people, man. When you see what they're doing, then you'll know how close we are to getting out of here. And what you need to do to make sure that you make it out of here. All right, let's look at this again. This is still the same thing, the Summit of the Future. It talks about the Summit of the Future Action Days. I guess they had a pre-meeting before the actual meeting from 20th to the 21st. But we're not interested in that. Let's go on here towards a pact for the future. I like that word that they use, huh? Pact. Almost like a like they're really joining together in this blood oath. It sounds like a blood oath. The Summit of the Future will produce an intergovernmentally negotiated, action-oriented pact for the future with chapters on sustainable development and financing for development. Oh my goodness, such beautiful words. Makes us think that they really care about us. No. I'll explain in a minute. International peace and security. Oh, the Christians just love those three words. Peace and security. They love to go and they're quoting from the letters of Paul. Oh, peace and security, then sudden destruction comes. That's what the Christians love to hear, because they think, oh, rapture is near now. Science, technology, and innovation and digital cooperation. Oh my goodness, could it get any sweeter than that? Youth and future generations and transforming global governance. Pay attention to the words, what they're doing, and what is coming for the world. under the beast empire number 7. How they're going to control us is through digital currency. All right? Everything is going to go digital. They're going to promise you, don't forget the 15-minute cities. And they're going to promise you a stipend. They have a name for it and it's gone out of my head. Just like what they did in 2020 when the government started giving away money to people. This was a taste of what's coming. That they're going to give you a monthly allowance. All right, I think it's called universal income. Yes, that's what it's called. Thank you, Father. Universal income. And that universal income is going to be dependent on how submissive you are to their and how compliant you are to their mandates. Because if you're a good little citizen, you get good little money. If you're a bad little citizen, I'm sorry, off with your head or just off with you, period. You get kicked out. All right? That's where the financing is going towards. Paying people to be good little citizens. And transforming global governance. Oh, yeah, they're transforming. Oh, yeah. To be the world dominating empire number 7 that is technology based. Everything is going to be technology. Everything. Even people will be merged with technology. The ones that say no, they're going to be called the rebels, and they're going the empire is going to try to take them out. But thankfully, the Most High is not going to allow off everybody. Some people are going to go on the ground. And he's going to help to sustain them. Even if I'm talking about the Gentiles, not the Northern Kingdom. The Northern Kingdom, they have a job to do. They got to fight against this system for 3.5 years. And they're going to be going through some serious times. It's going to be the time of Yaakob's trouble. And it's going to be a hard fight for them. But it has to be. Because it's like all the wars that the Southern Kingdom has ever fought condensed into 3.5 years for the Northern Kingdom. They're the only ones that are going to have the power to be able to fight against this entity. And yet, they're going to be prevailed against. Until Al-Khayyam shuts them down too, talking about the beast empire. He's going to shut it down with the great earthquake. Number 6, he's going to destroy all technology. The Christians today are bowled over with this evil entity's words. Peace and safety. Oh, they love that word. Those 3 words so much. That's all they parrot all day long. Peace and safety, peace and safety. Oh yeah, and rapture. Rapture ready. Oh my goodness. When you listen to them and like when you read the Bible and they attribute everything in the Bible to rapture. Oh my goodness. Anyways, they have to continue in their deception because they have to believe something, right? They have to believe something. So now what is the summit of the future? Let me see if I'm going to read through all of this. Experience the summit of the future, a gathering of global leaders shaping tomorrow. The summit of the future is a pivotal gathering uniting leaders from across the globe to redefine our path towards a brighter present and a more secure tomorrow. Ain't that sweet? They make it sound so sweet, doesn't it? This unparalleled occasion presents an opportunity to rebuild trust and showcase the power of the international collaboration in addressing both current and emerging challenges. Challenges that they created, by the way. Building upon established frameworks such as the UN Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We're going to look at those in a bit. The 2030 Agenda. We've been hearing about this 2030 agenda since the beginning of 2020 when the mandates and everything rolled out. All right. The Paris Agreement and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda. The Summit of the Future delves into the practical strategies for achieving our shared aspirations. We're going to look at each of these things and see what they are. And all of them are being headed by the UN. Every single one of these agendas here. Oh boy. I'm not going to read anymore. They want us to join with them. Yes. Okay. We will take a look at frameworks called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the 2030 Agenda, the Paris Agreement, and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda later on. As we read their plans, what is screaming to us is the fact that they are making plans against us as people to take away our freedom, to bring us under control under one entity, the NWO, which is developing right before our very eyes. It's morphing. The UN is morphing into this entity right before our very eyes. Look and see how much power this entity has right now. It's taken away the sovereignty of countries. It has already taken away the sovereignty of countries, if not all yet. What will make this beast empire powerful will be its ability to subdue all inhabitants on the earth through mandates and other control strategies. This is what they are gathering together to plan. Ignore all the fancy titles. No, let these titles make you think that they're planning a future that is going to be wonderful for you and your children. They want to put us in slavery. In fact, we're already slaves on this earth. But now it's going to be official. We're going to be slaves. Not we. Let's take the Southern Kingdom out. And the Northern Kingdom, they're not going to submit to this. Right? But we're talking about the Gentiles. Unfortunately, a lot of the Gentiles are going to fall prey to the beast empire. But the Most High is going to preserve the ones that belong to Him. And they're the ones that are going to go underground. All right? Until it's safe to come out again, which will be after the great earthquake. So if you're a Gentile and you're listening to my words, don't feel that you're left out. If you belong to Allah Hayam Yahweh, He will preserve you in His own way. You just got to trust in Him and believe in Him. Don't believe what these liars are telling you. Okay, so let's move on. We can't build a future for our grandchildren with a system built for our grandparents. Oh, they're talking about technology. Yeah, the technology. Well, our grandparents didn't have technology like we have today. So they're trying to do away with what our grandparents had, which was freedom, which we were able to go where we wanted to go with some degree of freedom, eat, have a home. That's what our grandparents had. I know the children that are coming, they're not going to have anything. Like I saw a video, right? And I think this was in China, that country, the not Middle East, the East, the Asian country, yes. And you see these little kiddies, these little children, they're more like 5 years old, all with this headband, because it's technology, right? And this headband on their heads will determine their moods, whether they're tired, whether they're focused, all these different, all the different things that define us as people. You know, sometimes you're at school and you get distracted because something passed you in your brain or somebody. No, you got to be focused. And if you're not focused, the computers will pick it up. And I heard this some time back. This is many years ago. How they're trying to develop even the chairs that the children will sit in to determine whether or not they're relaxed or if they're uptight or, fidgety, whatever, right? So that they can read now through technology the 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 person and the moods and everything to do with them. Like you now become a prisoner to technology. And these children gotta wear these headbands, these electronic headbands that is monitoring them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So that's the future that they want to build for children coming up. In fact, it's already started. Now, where did the Summit of the Future come from? The proposal for the Summit of the Future originated in our Common Agenda report. The report was a response by the UN Secretary General to a call from member states for ideas on how to better respond to current and future challenges. The future challenges that they're going to create. They've already created the challenges that we've had in the past, the ones we have in the present, and the ones that we're gonna have in the future, that the world is going to have in the future. It is going to be because of them. The Common Agenda report called for a renewal of trust and solidarity at all levels between peoples, countries, and generations. It made the case for a fundamental rethink of our political, economic, and social systems, you see, so that they deliver more fairly and effectively for everyone. It is also recommended a corresponding renewal of the multilateral system with the Summit of the Future as a defining moment to agree on the most critical improvements necessary. This is them developing their system, their systems. Remember I told you there are 7 systems? And guess what? These 3 that they mention here, the political, economic, and social systems, all part of the 7 systems that are coming, that are currently controlling the world, because they have the crowns right now. But when the crowns switch to the kings, meaning the horns, meaning the 10 leaders over the 10 territories, you're going to see that in a little while, then they're going to have the power and the authority. So right now, the systems have the power and the authority, and that's why you see things happening like with the WHO, the UN, all these different alphabet agencies, because the systems that are in place are there to control us until the 10 kings, until the beast empire rises up and the anti-Messiah rises up. You will see this abbreviation throughout these articles, UNFCCC, which stands for the United Nations Framework Convention on CLIMATE, change. Not going to say the whole word. All right. You must keep the above abbreviation UNFCCC in mind as we come to the conclusion as to what all this means to us today. What it means to us is that they're going to use the weather changes, the changes in our atmosphere, as a method of controlling us and how we live and what we eat and what we do. You see, pandemic is one thing, but they need to be able to literally go into your home and control every aspect of your life. And the weather changes is what is going to allow them to do this. Look at who's at the forefront, the UN. Tell you, that's a beast, By the way, CCC is also 333, or rather 33.3, as their Mason network. That's the highest you go in Mason. All right? They use numerology, symbols, and gestures to communicate with each other long distance. So now we know what and who is behind these so-called summits and agencies. So that CCC there is not a coincidence. They're sending a loud message to each other. Them Mason people, oh my goodness. All right, Sustainable Development Goals. Now, I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all UN members in 2015, created 17 World Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. They were created with the aim of peace and prosperity for people and the planet. Now, since 2015, have we been at peace? Have we had prosperity? There've been more wars and rumors of wars and poverty like nothing before, all at their hand. 2030 caused a lot of businesses to go out of business. A lot of mom and pop shops had to shut down because of their agenda. Are they talking about creating the aim with the aim of peace and prosperity? For who? For them, not for us. Why tackling weather changes and working to preserve oceans and forests? They're the one burning down all the forests. Every year now we got forest fires. Every year. It was never like this. You might have a small little forest fire, and sometimes even the rangers had to go and set fires because it helps to rejuvenate the forest. But not like we see today. The SDGs highlight the connection between the environmental, social, and economic aspects of sustainable development, sustainability, sorry, there's a stop after, sorry. So, and economic aspects of sustainable development. Sustainability is at the center of SDGs. So I'm not going to go into, okay, let's look at some of these titles here. The short titles of the 17 SDGs are no poverty. Oh, really? Oh, really? Why did you close down businesses in 2020 and tell people you can't go to work or you can't, continue on with your business? You got to stay at home and social distance. Oh, really? Zero hunger and creating famine by manipulating the atmosphere, creating drought, good health and well-being. Oh, really? By releasing mosquitoes and all other kinds of insects to bring unwellness to people. Really? You see, people don't understand. If you are not in the know and you read this will sound good to your ears. Let's read on quality education. Oh, really? So when you go into schools now, little children are reading about daddy and mommy, or you can identify as whatever you want to be. You don't have to be who you were born as. All kinds of nonsense. They're teaching children how to self-please themselves. If you know what I'm talking about. That's the kind of quality education that they want to put out there. In fact, they already have out there. I remember this gentleman. I'm going to try to find his video and I'm going to put it in my what do you call it now? What's that thing? That post. Yes, community post. I'm going to try to remember. But he was a professor. I'm going to make a note here to myself because I always forget when I said I'm going to do something about children. Okay. And what was concerning him was the fact that he was a professor in a college, a university. Students coming to him are so daft. They have no sense. They have no common sense. So he decided to quit his job as a professor and he decided to go and work in the high schools. It was the high school. And he was shocked at seeing what they were teaching children, even lower grades as well, from lower grades right up to high school. All right. He was shocked. He said they're not teaching them anything. He said, as a matter of fact, there was this one book, right, that they put on the curriculum for these young children to I can't even remember the age because I watched this a long, long time ago. But he's still on the internet, thankfully. I hope he's still on the internet. And the one book that the children were um, studying was about this young girl, probably 13 years old, I am thinking, abducted, kidnapped by a man who was 30 years old. And this is a book now that they're studying in school, you know. And he essayed her. If you know what essayed mean, he interfered with her time and time again. She became his prisoner. To the point now, after being his prisoner for so long, after a few years, he did not have a need to keep her in prison. She remained with him. And that's what the story is all about. All the moments when he, interfered with her in great detail too, and her thoughts. And I'm thinking, oh, really? They're teaching that to young children? That's the educational system that is currently in place. And there are other things too that this professor was talking about. Children can't even count anymore. They're teaching them the whatever number in a classroom with your peers come up with in a mathematical problem. That's the answer you must go with. In other words, they're teaching them this beehive mentality. And when I was researching this, there were parents that were professors themselves, mathematicians, engineers, when their children brought home homework and they tried to understand the problems, the mathematical problems that were given to them, couldn't figure it out. And even the method that the teacher taught the children, when the children showed the parents said, that's not correct. The answer is not correct. But the children like, no, the teacher said to do this. Beehive mentality. And there were a lot of parents that were kicking up dust about it. That's what they were teaching children. This is back like more than 10 years ago. All right. There was a name for it that they were teaching. There's a heading for it. And I can't remember it right now. But I would try to find a video and I would try to post it so you can see for yourself all the different things. If you have children, that's why I tell people, take your children out of schools. They ain't teaching them anything. You can teach them more at home. But a lot of parents, they don't want to parent their children. They want to throw them to the teachers and only have the evenings with them and the weekends. And sometimes not even the weekends. All right? If you don't want to parent any children, don't have them. Simple. Anyway, let's move on. Gender equality, you know what that's talking about. It's talking about, men being women and women being men, boys being girls and girls being boys. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about women being paid the same as men. Right? No, that's not what they're talking. Women being treated with respect in the workforce or given the same opportunity. Nah, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about the Rainbow Coalition. That's one of their creations. That's one of their, because, it comes from the fallen angels. Clean water and sanitation. Really? When you're putting all these toxins in the air and you spraying the air with barium and strontium and aluminum, how you can have clean water? Affordable and clean energy. Every single time a person came up with a way in order to save or to give the people free energy, they killed them off. There was this one man who was able to create a vehicle running on water. You know what happened? The the car that he created was destroyed, and he too, he was destroyed. They don't want clean energy. They don't want any of this stuff. They want you to use their stuff, which is poison or controlled by them. If they were interested, all these inventions that people came up with that suddenly either disappeared or died, they would have allowed them to bring them forth. But no. All right. Decent work and economic growth. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Reduce inequalities. Sustainable cities and communities. You know what that is? Those are the 15-minute cities. 15-minute cities. That's the sustainable cities and communities that they're talking about. They're not talking about your little village that you live in or the suburbs where you live in. They want to get you out of the suburbs and into their cities. Their 15-minute cities where they can control you with their technology. Responsible consumption and production. Oh, really? They want to tell you what to eat. And they're the ones that are going to produce the worms, right? The mealworms, the crickets, the grasshoppers. They're going to create the milk from them, the flour, everything. That's all you're going to be eating. Bugs. All right. Let me see where he left off. Change in the climate action. Yeah, because that's how they're going to control us. Let me take us out of there. That's how they want to control the world with this climate nonsense. Life below water. Yes, life below water, meaning, I guess, the fish in the sea, the creatures that live in the sea. Life on land, meaning us, I guess. Peace, justice, and strong institutions and partnerships for goals. These goals are ambitious, and the reports and outcomes to date indicate a challenging path. Let me just end there. Wait. Most, if not all, of the goals are unlikely to be met by 2030. Let me just finish with that. Enough of that. We have been hearing about the 2030 agenda over the years, but it had picked up traction since 2020. They call it sustainable development, which looks great on paper. And even as they speak, remember, these are serpentine people. They got forked tongues. They're liars. They're deceptors. Their father is the devil, whose words are deceptive and camouflaged with their true agenda to control. So I already went through these, but I'm going to go through it again. No poverty. They've created poverty. That's what they've done. Any country that had natural resources, who do you think went in and took over those resources? All right. To make sure that that country remains poor. I remember I watched this TED Talk, this woman from one of those African countries, and she was talking about her country and how resourceful, how beautiful it is, and it's full of resources, natural resources. And she said the Europeans just come in and took everything away and left them poor. Used them to help the country of its resources and left them poor. She was bold, I got to tell you. Zero hunger. And this is through the HAARP, technology and other agendas. Famine is on the horizon. Famine has always been here, but it's worse now, even today. Gender equality to transform man from who they have been created as, who we have been created as. They don't want us to be what we were created to be. They want us to be who they want us to be transformed in their ugly and demonic image. Clean water and sanitation created droughts. The created droughts with and with that poverty comes. And then with poverty will come the lack of clean water and sanitation. I think I read that incorrect, but that's the point. They created the droughts, and the droughts create poverty. And the poverty means that people aren't going to have any sanitation. People are hungry, and there's not going to be any sanitation. Affordable and clean energy. Now, why did they destroy anyone who invented free energy? Decent work. The decent work that they want to offer people will be in factories. Sustainable cities will be the 15-minute cities. Now we're going to go into these Paris agreements and the Addis, Ababa, and all these different systems that they talk about. All you need to notice about this description concerning the Paris Agreement is the change in the weather. Nothing more needs to be said. So I'm not going to go in and read because it's talking about it's a legally binding international treaty on changes in the weather. All right. And let me read this. It was adopted by 196 parties at the UN Climate, you know what? Conference COP21 in Paris, France on 12th of December 2015. It entered into force on the 4th of November 2016. All right. 3 words: problem, reaction, solution. That's their method of bringing their agenda across to us, and we accept them. So the changes that we see in the atmosphere is done by them, because then they will cry out it's a problem, and we will react and ask them for a solution. Problem, reaction, solution. It's their psychology that they've been using on us for a very long time, and it works. Every crisis that is on this earth was created by these wicked serpentine people in order to carry out their agendas. When Allah Hayam created the earth and everything therein, it was good. He said it was good. The Satans and their fallen angels are the puppet masters behind these serpentine people, who are their children, also known as the Nephilim. Now their agendas are in lockstep with each other to create the perfect storm in the bottle. Without Allah Hayam Yahweh, mankind would be doomed. And that's why Allah Hayam is going to bring an ending to all the evil and the wickedness on this earth very, very soon. So let's look at what this Addis Ababa Action Agenda is. It has to do, again, this was done in 2015. And it's the 3rd International Conference on Financing for Development held in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. It was adopted by the heads of state and government on 15th of July 2015. 174 United Nations members and states sent delegations. Member states sent delegations. 28 heads of state, vice presidents, and heads of government attended. Governments were joined by the heads of the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the World Trade Organization, prominent businesses and civil society leaders, and other stakeholders. So the big money people are involved here in this Addis Ababa Action Agenda. Big money people. And if you know anything about the IMF, They're the people that went into the Caribbean and destroyed the, the economies in the Caribbean. They loaned them money and they made um, it became difficult for certain islands to pay them back. So their dollar had to be devalued. And on top of the dollar being devalued, they turned around and they started owning the country, the island. And when I say owning island, I'm talking about the people. Because that's what these people, these creatures are going after. They're going after ownership of people. They already own the land everywhere. They just want to own the people now. And we see that happening in places like Jamaica and Trinidad, all these different islands. Barbados. But you see, the thing is about Barbados, right? Is that the prime minister, it call itself a president now, is now up with these people. If you notice that when they had the WEF, who was one of the spokespeople at the forum, the WEF forum, the same motley woman, not going to call its name, all right, and it's showing, it's becoming like a very significant person in the Caribbean, the same motley woman, all right, but all is being established there is control. There needs to be a person there that will control the other heads in the islands, in the Caribbean islands. And that one was chosen. Why? Because it is one of the devils. It is one of the rainbow people. It's one of them. These people ain't playing. All right. If you have noticed that these plans began well in the past, since the turn of the century, as if these wicked people have anticipated something great is about to happen in the world. And this is exactly what has been happening over the generations, over the years, up to this point of time, that you see the IMF went in to different countries, not just the Caribbean, but other countries as well. And they now own the countries because the countries owe them money. They give them millions upon millions of dollars to help with their infrastructure, and the countries can't pay them back, right? They can't pay them back. So instead, they sell the people, the inhabitants of the country to the IMF. And that's why the IMF has a very strong voice in a lot of countries today. A strong voice. And since I think either before the 2020, I think it was before 2020, the same IMF threw money at the same motley person. And that same motley person claimed that it was to build up the country. But it wasn't to build up the country. It was given money to help carry out the mandates that was going to come in 2020. You got to see how these people are playing. All right, let's read on. The Addis Ababa Action Agenda is the money behind the agendas in which they will carry out in every country on this earth. Just like 2020, where the money was distributed, although somewhat scantily, yet enough to get certain businesses afloat. Their own businesses, their own people, keep them afloat while the mom and pop shops had to close. You think they were throwing money at the mom and pops? No, they want to close them down, but they want to keep their businesses open. Look at the businesses that were open. The The shops that sold the WEED, all right? The tattoo parlors were open. The strip joints were open. But everything else had to close. Right? Everything else had to close. And then when they finally opened up certain businesses, the big money supermarkets were allowed to open and operate. But the little mom and pop shops, they had to close. All right. All part of the plan to drive everyone to poverty and dependent on their stipends. That's the sustainable, that's the allowance that they want to give to people if we comply to their mandates. All right, let's move on. So you have here the structure of the Addis Agenda is a global framework that seeks to align financing flows and policies with economic, social, and environmental priorities. So in other words, they're going to use the money to carry out their weather changes, agendas, and everything else. Don't let them feel it. If you want to, you can read. Actually, they got some stuff here that seems quite interesting. You have domestic public resources, domestic and international private business and finance, international development cooperation. What really struck out for me is the depth and depth sustainability, science, technology, innovation, and capacity building. This is all them. All of them. It has nothing to do with us. Do you see how all of these agendas are in fact connected to each other? They're almost like puzzle pieces. If you put them together, you will see the diabolical plan that is ahead for all the inhabitants on this earth. Look to see who is at the reins of all of these agendas, none other than the UN. All right, let's read on. Let's move on. We got still a few more to go. Not too many. Yeah. So now we're looking at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Oh, please. You've taken away our rights to having freedom, the right to eat meat, the right to breathe, the right to live, the right to choose, to be, who you are, who you were born as. But no, they want you to choose what they want you to be. Such thing as human rights. Like I said, everything sounds good and it looks good on paper and it sounds good when they talk about it, right? But they have an agenda behind that agenda. And the evil agenda behind this is the reverse of what they're saying. The opposite. Whatever they say to you, think the opposite. They want us to believe that they care about our human rights when in fact they do not. They've taken away our human rights. Look at what happened in 2020. You couldn't even stand less than 6 feet from your friend. You had to wear a piece of cloth over your face. Otherwise, you can't go out. You can't go into stores and all kind of nonsense. Oh, is that's taking away your rights. If they claim that there's something out there that is, destroying people, making them unwell, then it's up to the person if they want to wear a piece of cloth over their face. Why are you mandating that and telling the store owners, oh, you can't let anyone in unless they have a piece of cloth over their face? That's taking away your right. Your rights to breathe fresh air. Now, if you want to be unwell, say for example, there was something going on, then the choice should be up to you whether or not you want to wear something over your face or not. Because you are the one that's going to be ill. And the people that don't want to be ill, then they can choose to stay home or wear something over their face. But they try to make it seem that the people that don't want to comply are the ones that are causing the spread. And people actually believe that. I had a family member told me when they went into the supermarket, this was back like in 2021 or sometime, when this thing was at its highest. The madness was at its highest. And they would go in the supermarket and they see anyone without a facial cloth over a cloth over their face, that they would give them the evil eye. I'm thinking to myself, well, as long as you're wearing one, that's all you should care about. Why you should care about another person if they don't want to wear one? Because they felt that the person was creating a bigger problem for them. I never heard such nonsense in my life. And this was a family member, you know. Oh my goodness. I'm talking about being so you've been so stupefied, you've been so dumbed down that you can't even think rationally anymore. Anyways, the same person used to wash all their and they went to the supermarket. They used to wash all their cans and everything that they bought in the supermarket. They used to go take it straight to the sink and wash them with soap and water. Every can, every container, everything, soap and water. Good grief. What a way to live, right? And yet you can't say anything to them because they think that you are the one that is creating the problem. You're making the problem worse. When in fact it is them buying into the system, buying into the narrative that's created the problem in the first place. Because if people were like me and call these people out and say, if you don't want me to come in your store, then your store is going to be empty. But it wasn't supposed to go that way. No, it wasn't supposed to go that way. Oh my goodness. Like I said before, it all looks good on paper, not goo. It looks good on paper, and even as they speak these things, but they speak them with forked tongues, not truly planning to carry out any plans except those that will render us powerless and under their control. So this Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted. It's an international document documented by the UN General Assembly that enshrines the rights and freedoms of all human beings. Oh my, like really? You see how good this longs on paper? And yet they took away our freedoms in 2020. But our freedom is still taken away. All right? Drafted by a UN committee chaired by Eleanor Roosevelt. It was accepted by the General Assembly as Resolution 217 during its third session on the 10th of December 1948 at the Palais, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, in Paris, France. I'm not going to read anymore. These people are just so full of it. It's unbelievable that people can listen to what these so-called leaders in the world are saying and believe what's coming out of their forked tongues. All right. When we put the pieces of this puzzle together, we will see the formation of the coming beast empire number 7. That's the technology-based empire. The UN is a beast empire number 6, which will morph into this NWO beast empire number 7. It is for this reason why we're seeing and hearing about agendas coming down the pike with the UN at the helm. They're the driving force right now. They're the driving force behind the WHO. They're the driving force behind everything that I've read so far. All these charters and everything that you see. Wars and rumors of wars is their way of forming their 10 territories, which will have 10 kings over each territory and will be completed soon. That's why you have the European Union, you have the African Union. You see, they're creating instability in countries to bring those areas that are warring against each other under one heading, under one territory. Don't let this fool you. The war that you see going on in the Middle East, that's to bring everyone in that region under one heading. The war you see between the Bear Country and the Crane Country, that is to bring all of them under one country, under one heading, one territory. They're forming the territories as we speak. That's why you see instability in Africa. You got the war in Kenya, and you got the war in, what's the other country there? It's just gone out of my head. right? Then you got the war in Haiti, the instability, the uprising rather in Haiti. All these uprisings, all these skirmishes, all these, they are forming the 10 territories. That's what they're doing. All right? Don't don't look at it on a surface level. You have to look deep and see that there's a purpose behind what they're doing. And the purpose behind what they're doing is developing this world into 10 areas that will be governed by a king. All right. Therefore, these wars, skirmishes, really, and rumors of wars are helping to aggravate the populations on the earth to seek for a solution, world peace solution. And that's where the anti-Messiah is going to come in, because he's going to have some great ideas. He's going to put the beast empire up front, and you got to worship it. So in order to worship it, you got to become a part of it. And to become a part of it, you got to be transformed to be in its image. Right? Oh, my. This is a psychological tactic called problem reaction solution that is being played on the masses. Soon, the inhabitants on the earth will grow so weary of these skirmishes, plus the events of the 3 days of darkness and the regathering of the southern kingdom will push them over the edge to accept any solution, as long as it brings peace. Everyone wants peace right now. They're tired of hearing of wars. They're tired of hearing of threats of wars. Nuclear war, blah, 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 World War III, all kinds of stuff they keep hearing over and over and over again. And the Christians don't help, because they help to push it too. That's what makes me so annoyed. These so-called Christians that think that they know everything, they're the ones that are pushing the agenda for the beast empire. They're only too happy to let these fools, these foolish people, to keep pushing the thoughts of a World War III, the rebuilding of a third temple, peace and safety, sudden destruction, all these things that they're talking about over and over and over again. They're helping to drill the fears into people and bringing frustration and anxiety at the same time. If they will only shut up about it and go to the word and at least find something positive to talk about. Oh no, we're watchmen and watchwomen and blah blah blah. They're not watchmen. They're part of the propaganda machinery that is going on right now. That's what they are. They're in the hype. But you see, the hype that they're spreading is giving them views, and views is translated into money, because a lot of them are in it for money. They're not in it to bring awareness. And people are so gullible. So gullible. Even our people, gullible. Believe anything that they hear. Don't even test the waters. Don't even test the spirit behind the words of these people. Let's read on. It will be at this time that the beast empire, number 7, will rise up with its beast empire called the anti-Messiah or the false prophet. He's called the anti-Messiah or the false prophet. Both titles belong to the same evil entity. All right? The fact of the matter is this: the evil powers that be are working behind the scene, puppeteering every agenda that we are seeing occurring today. The protestings, the riotings, the wars and rumors of wars, the release of unwellness-born insects that infect people in many countries now, under the disguise of trying to destroy other pests. All of these are the agendas of these wicked entities. Don't let the protestings that you see going on make you believe that these are regular people like you and I doing this. Same thing with the riots. All right. A lot of them are paid actors. Soon everything will come to a head as all of these agendas will merge to be the ultimate plan under the beast empire and the anti Messiah. Right before our very eyes, we can see such developments, and they are growing in intensity like never before. Everything is growing. So now we're going to look at these 10 territories. Now, this is just a rough estimate as to what the 10 territories on the earth will look like when the 10 kings will take their places. These 10 kings are the 10 horns on the beast that when they have their crowns, meaning authority, and the authority given to them by Allah Hayam, will rule this earth. He's going to take away the authority. In fact, he's going to destroy the beast empire, number 7. It's going to go on the ground, come back as beast empire, number 8. But this time, no crowns on the horns. It's going to be crownless. So it's going to be very weak. That's why it's going to depend on the whore of Bab. Let me just rephrase that word. It's going to depend on the mother of harlots. All right? It's going to be dependent on the mother of harlots. We are currently seeing the formation of these 10 territories. So number 1 will be North America. Number 2 is Latin America or South America, which will be inclusive of the islands of the Caribbean. Number 3 will be Europe. I think number 3 is this area here. They call this, this is 3 right here. You can see the white 3. I don't know why the person put it in white, but it's 3. 4 is Russia and neighbors. So this is the reason why the Ukraine country is fighting. And you got all the other, I think Belarus and all these other ones up in here, flexing their muscles. Sub-Saharan Africa will be number 5, which is here. All these different little African states, African countries, which is not inclusive of, well, this is northern here. This is northern Africa. All right. So this is North Africa. Number 6 is North Africa and West Asia. So this would include like Saudi Arabia, Israel, Egypt, those kind of places. I think Algeria is up in here too, North Africa. And this is in the middle here of Africa. I'm not sure what that area is. Number 7 here will be East Asia. Number 8, South Asia. Number 9, Southeast Asia. I think this would be like Japan and those other places around here. And number 10, Australia and Oceania. So this is Australia here, and this will be Oceania. All part of 10. I think there's is inclusive here too. But yeah, so these are the 10 divisions of the earth, how the earth is going to be divided into 10 territories. All right. And this is the reason why we're seeing all these skirmishes. You got skirmishes here in South America and Caribbean, here in Russia area, even here. You got skirmishes here in Africa too. All over there's skirmishes. Because it's almost like everything is bubbling to the surface now. Yeah. So now we're going to look at the unwellness that is out there. So these are the outbreaks, and this is from the 4th of September. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because there are too many. You can look at them and see it for yourself. How the influenza, and it's a variant, and this is in Vietnam. Then you have the bird, FLU, in Cambodia. Then you have the monkey thing in Sweden. This, and then you have, this is the one that I think that this is a Brazilian thing, Oropuchi. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Forgive me if I haven't. Region of Americas. Then you have in India, you have the syndrome. Then you have the M, the monkey thing in the African region. I remember hearing about that, and it was so bad that they were preventing anyone from Africa from entering into any countries like in Europe or the US or whatnot. They couldn't travel, and they're talking about developing a GBGB for it. Oh yeah, creating a GBGB. Then you have here something about pneumonia. And it says it's global. I guess it's worldwide. Then you have dengue. I know in Caribbean they have a lot of dengue, and it comes from mosquitoes. And my question is, if you know how the Caribbean islands are, I mean, mosquitoes can't fly that far, right? Like, where do they come from, right? I mean, like, you got to really think hard on these things. In fact, you don't even need to think that hard. Somebody is releasing them and creating a demic, creating a situation. All right. Then you have the monkey thing in South Africa. Then you have the bird thing in Mexico, the monkey thing in Congo, the bird thing in India, the the aura thing in Cuba, the bird thing again in Australia, the bird thing in Mexico. Then you have a global situation with dengue. Then you have in Chad, you got this HEPA something. And then in the Middle East, and I think there's in the Kingdom of Saudi, the Davok, right? And this was since September 4th. This is the latest so far. I'm sure there'll probably be more things, but just to show you how these people are throwing all kinds of things out. I remember when the monkey thing came out, and they had pictures of people with these things on their skin, and people noticed, how come they all look African? What are you trying to say? You know? And then all of a sudden they took the pictures, it went quiet, and now it's back with a vengeance. This monkey business. All right, it's back with a vengeance. I know they're talking about developing a jibby for it. All right, let's move on. We're almost to the end. Now, this is something that I found recently. I wasn't surprised because they've been talking about this now for a little while. Because now all of a sudden, remember back in the 60s and 70s, anyone that talked about UFOs, they were called conspiracy theorists, right? Tinfoil hat people. But now all of a sudden, you have governments talking about, oh yeah, by the way, yes, they do exist. So now they call them UAPs, and UAP stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomenons, which is the same as UFOs, Unidentified Flying Objects. Now, it's funny that they will call it aerial phenomenons, unidentified aerial phenomenons, because what's coming for us, the Southern Kingdom, will be unidentified, and they will be flying chariots with horses, fiery chariots with fiery horses. So people are going to be able to look upon them to see exactly what they are. God, they're going to be fiery, and they're going to be too scared too. They're going to be looking to hide. Clearly, we're seeing a dramatic and drastic change in government opinion on what was once called conspiracy theory. So I didn't even read the headlines here. US police chiefs released handbook on UAPs. Police executives created first UAP guide for US law departments. 11-page guide is to inform officers that UAP sightings do happen. Oh my, they actually confess. And the goal of the guide is to normalize the conversation around UAPs. You see, they got to be able to answer people when the chariots come and leave. What happened? What was that? Oh, it was a UAP. Don't worry about it. It just took the evil Negroes off the earth. There's a movie about that, you know. There's a movie, and that guy from, I think his name Benson, the guy that played as Benson, he was starring in it. And it had these spaceships that came and took all the Negroes off the earth. That was the condition from the aliens, that in order for all the people on the earth to live in peace, the Negroes gotta go. And this was done in either I think in the 80s, the early 80s. I think so. I think it was the early 80s. I think it was called Space something. Oh my goodness, the name gone clean out of my head. But yeah. But it was one of those, old fashioned 80s movies. And the point that they were driving home is that when we are taken off the earth, that it will be because mankind is going to be preserved on the earth. So in order to preserve mankind on the earth, the evil Negroes got to leave. That's what they're planning. That's what they're going to say. Let's read on. Although there are no such things as aliens, no, you got demons, but not aliens, as people are believing. Therefore, there are no unidentified spacecrafts carrying such creatures. Rather, the worldwide public is being prepared with an explanation for when the chariots will come to regather the southern kingdom. That's what the world is being prepared for. They got to give them a reasonable answer. It's not the truth, but they're going to have to give them a reasonable answer. I think the only people that would really be conscious about what really happened would be the northern kingdom and the Gentiles that belong to Elohim, because they will be made aware that something phenomenal, something biblical had just taken place. And it's not what these devils are claiming. All right? Our regathering will be a worldwide event and visible to every eye. Even the dead will see what will be occurring. For this reason, the soon to rise beast empire number 7 have to lay their foundation of deception using UAPs and UFOs as their excuse, as their explanations. Are you seeing all of this? Are you aware of all these developments? There's no cause for fear, but it is a cause for anticipating the greatest event on the earth. The southern kingdom is going home. All that we are witnessing today and ever increasing in events tomorrow are pointing us to this conclusion that is rooted in prophecy. Get your houses in order. And that's what people need to do. Even I need to buckle down and get myself together. All right? We need to get into praying and fasting. All right? We need to spend more time with Elohim Yahweh. There's always more time that we can spend with Him. And I include myself in that too. All right? The whole idea here is things are escalating. The alphabet agencies headed by the UN are putting things in place. The government officials are coming together And they're putting their agendas in place. And it's not for our benefit, it is to work against us. But we don't care about what they're planning. We just care that we belong to Allah Hayam Yahweh, and we need to do what we need to do to get ourselves ready to make sure that when the darkness comes, that we have light in our homes. Now, this is speaking to the southern kingdom. And I'm going to warn you one last time. You need to get your house in order. Because when the darkness comes and the darkness finds you, that's it for you. You're done. Forever. You're doomed for destruction, eternal destruction. When the light comes, when the darkness comes, make sure that you already have light within you. And that light is called truth. Because you're walking in righteousness and in holiness. And you're doing all that you need to do today. Because we don't know about tomorrow. Well, we have an idea. But we're not going to we're not going to ignore the obvious and continue living in this world and hope and pray and think, well, we have time to get it together. No, do it now. Do it now while you have the ability to do it now. You don't know what it is that Allah Hayam needs to do within you. You do it now. Get yourselves ready now. If you hear of a hurricane coming, just like this one that's hitting the Carolinas and Florida and whatnot, you think the people wait until they see evidence of the hurricane coming to make preparation? No. You hear about it 2 days prior. You start to make preparation. You hear about it a week prior. You make preparation. You don't wait until it's on your doorstep then to make preparation. Even so for us today, we're not going to wait for a week beforehand in order to make preparation. What makes you think that you only need a week to prepare yourself? What if what is inside of you needs time to be worked out of you? And the time that He's given us now is sufficient time for us to make sure that we make it into the chariots. How do we know? You can't wait till tomorrow and to fix you. You fix you now. While it's still called today, you work now. Who cares about this world? Who cares about living in this world? Who cares about careers, education? In the university, get out of those systems, those educational systems. All they're doing is putting a lot of darkness inside of you. You can't even think for yourselves anymore. Our focus has got to be Allah Hayam Yahweh and Him regathering us. Now for the Gentiles that belong to Allah Hayam Yahweh, yes, you're going to have to go through a lot of stuff on this earth. You can't escape it. But what can happen is if you remain loyal and faithful to Allah Hayam Yahweh and call Him by His correct name and worship Him and Him alone, He can preserve you. And He will protect you. And He will provide for you. But only on His terms, not on yours, and certainly not on the terms of Jesus, or Yeshua, or Ahaya, or Yahuwah. Not on their demon terms, on Allah Hayam Yahweh's terms. You see, and this is what is going to greatly reduce the number of Gentiles. Just like it's going to reduce the number of the southern kingdom, just like how it's going to reduce the number of the northern kingdom. A remnant, only a remnant will be saved from all three categories because of this very same thing. who are you worshiping? Who are you calling upon? All right. So that's the ending of this study. And I hope that you take heed. It's not the usual study that I do, but I'm watching. And as I'm seeing things happening, I'm like, oh my, I wonder if other people are seeing this. All right. So let's end with the blessing for Yashua taken from Baal Madabar, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. That's the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. Yabarakak Yahweh wa Yashamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Ya'ar Yahweh panayo alayak wa yachanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Yasha'a Yahweh panayo alayak wa yasham lak shalom. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And now I'm going to recite the command that we were told to recite when we lie down, when we get up, when we go out, and when we come in, taken from Debarayam chapter 6, verses 4 and 5, and that's Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. Shama o Yashwa'al, Yahweh Allah Hayanal, Yahweh Ahad, wa Ahabath Af, Yahweh Allah Hayak, Bakal Lababak, Ubakal Napashat, Ubakal Ma'adak. Hear, O Yashwa'al, Yahweh our Allah Hayam is one Yahweh, and you shall love Yahweh your Allah Hayam with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And with that, I will say, Shalom, Shalom, all praises to the Most High, Abba Yah.